It's Championship Sunday on the Big Ten Network as we bring you the Big Ten Women's Soccer Tournament. And it all comes down to two teams here at the Grand Park Event Center. Your #1 seed Penn State Nittany Lions going for the double, and the upstart Minnesota Golden Gophers. When we go to our Dr. Pepper tournament look, it's a trophy on the line. Somebody will take it home. Penn State knocking off Michigan and Illinois. 1-0 scores. Minnesota upsetting Rutgers, taking care of Nebraska, and they go for it all right here today. Championship Sunday. Hello, everybody. I'm Dean Linke alongside my world champion, Kate Markgraf. And Kate, Penn State going for the double. Minnesota going to try to take the stairs for their seniors.
Well, they're going to need to because this senior class is on the wrong side of the bubble right now when they look at postseason play. A win would put them in the driver's seat of their destiny and guaranteed of an extended season. That's going to be very difficult against a Penn State team, which is a very complete team with no holes anywhere that they can exploit.
And Emily Ogle, the Big Ten midfielder of the year, she does it all for the Nittany Lions.
Well, she is a quarterback. She's a player that dictates the entire flow of the game. The set-piece specialist is the one that makes this team go. She's one of the best midfielders in the country.
And you know the theme. Minnesota has been rocking with April Bakken.
Well, Bakken showed why she was named the Big Ten Forward of the Year with her 2 goals in the semifinals. This one is world-class. It's almost the type of goals you see in video games. This one, she picks her spot and hits everything with enough pace, power, and accuracy to beat even the top goalkeepers.
These two teams have won the last 3 Big Ten tournaments. Penn State going for the double. Minnesota going for a spot in the big dance. The Golden Gophers, the Nittany Lions, for a title.
Do you like cheese when it's hot and it's melty? The 3 for $10 deal got a cheesy upgrade. We added a burger now topped with our queso. It's queso amazing. Queso, see you soon. 3 for $10, baby bucks, baby bucks. Mm-hmm. Oh baby, 3 for $10, baby bucks, baby bucks.
Soccer on BTN is brought to you by SoFi. Borrow, invest, save, and more. And by T-Mobile. Whether you're home or away, T-Mobile has you covered. Penn State won it last year here at Grand Park as they had to go indoors to knock off Northwestern. Today they try to do it against Minnesota. Let's take a look at our Discover starting lineups first for the Penn State Nittany Lions.
Well, they're in a 4-3-3. Their strength is in the midfield. We talked about how good Ogle is quarterbacking this team, but watch Charlotte Williams underneath the center forward Talaferri. Her well-timed runs in and around the box makes her dangerous. She has 3 goals and 5 assists on the season.
And our Discover starting lineups for the Minnesota Golden Gophers.
Molly Fiedler, one of the seniors that makes up that strong spine, has chipped in 14 points with 8 assists. She is always looking for her strike partner. Bakken up top. She is so good with the ball at her feet and unlocking defenses with well-weighted passes.
Minnesota will be counting on Maddie Nielsen, just a sophomore, 59 saves. She's lowered her goals against average to 1.03.
Exactly, because her confidence has grown as the season has gone on. It's going to be imperative for her today to pick and choose her moments to come off her line.
And for Penn State, Amanda Dennis coming up huge on Friday with a big right-hand save. The junior from San Diego, top 10 already, all-time in wins.
And Coach Dombach says that she is playing some of the best soccer of her career right now. She is the anchor for this defense.
And our bare keys of the game, Kate Markgraf, break them down.
Oh, well, for Minnesota, it's key for them to have quality pressure, especially on the midfield, not let them get too high or too low as a block so they're not creating any easy gaps for them to exploit. And to have excellent ball movement, keep this team moving. And for Penn State, shut down Bakken, don't allow service into her. And for the same thing for Penn State is they want their midfield to have such great offensive movement in anticipation of receiving the ball that they create and open up seams and gaps to exploit.
All right, the wind will play a factor here today. Extremely windy at Grand Park, Westfield, Indiana, just outside of Indianapolis. Your wonderful host yet again, Dean Linke, Kate Markgraf with you. Penn State in blue jerseys. Minnesota Golden Gophers in white. Here is the quarterback, Emily Ogle, Big Ten midfielder of the year. Quick corner kick, high lofted ball into this wind. Minnesota will clear. Erica Dombach, what a job she has done at Penn State in 12 years, 4-time Big Ten Coach of the Year, looking for her 11th overall title in those 12 years, either regular season or Big Ten tournament, and also the continuity with her staff, Ann Cook and Tim Wasso, the fine goalkeeper coach. They've been together a long time. They've grown together, and that consistency has been key.
And they have such well-defined roles. The teams know what to expect from their coaches, know who to go to when they have a certain issue, tactically or technically. And having that delineated line of command of who you need to talk to, it just creates a solid foundation from which they can launch their attack and launch their style of play.
Minnesota Golden Gophers with this amazing senior class that not only have been together at Minnesota the entire time, most of them played club soccer together, some of them since they were freshmen in high school. The rest of them joined in when they were senior in high school. So you talk about a group that has a tight bond. This Minnesota Golden Gopher class, certainly the senior class does.
And that continuity together and that connectedness, it allows for those moments when you need a little bit extra motivation. You look to that teammate that you rely on for so long, and you look to them to help you out. But right now, when I look at Minnesota, they're going to have to figure out how to handle this win. Penn State starts strong, and they don't give up many goals in the second half. So it's going to be interesting to see how they're able to keep the ball on the ground against this wind, because every time it gets above 3 or 4 feet, the wind is stopping the ball and almost pushing it backwards, so they're unable to clear pressure.
Yeah, Stephanie Golan telling us right before the game that the keys to playing in the wind will be quick ball movement on the ground and an organized back line. And you definitely want to try to score with the wind behind you. Minnesota play it out of the back. Stephanie Golan, the head coach for the Minnesota Golden Gophers, your 2016 Big Ten Coach of the Year, 7 great seasons. They followed a take the stairs mentality. It's all over the locker room. It's their mantra, and the senior class saying the freshmen have bought in as well, and that has been key.
Every team has a mantra, and it's fun to see what teams come up with. And Minnesota wants to embrace that blue-collar work ethic and making sure that they're doing everything they can in every single setting to do the tougher, pick the tougher tasks. So when they're prepared to go and handle big challenges like the uphill climb they faced today, they have the strategies in place to be successful.
So roll out of bounds, but stay with Minnesota. Again, Minnesota in white, Penn State in blue. Penn State looking for their 7th double. That would be the 7th time they won the regular season and the tournament in the same year, as they have been the class of the Big Ten for a long, long time. 23 straight NCAA appearances, 19-time now Big Ten regular season champs, winning their 19th this year, and 7-time Big Ten tournament champs. And as I just said, 6 times they've won the double. Good little move by Minnesota. Right down the middle is Fiedler. Fiedler's got Bakken. Fiedler going to take it, and denied with the shot by Alina Ortega-Jurado. And it's a corner kick as Fiedler, with Bakken going over to the right, takes the shot.
But it starts with this little deception. Wrong foot to Ogle, and Fiedler continues to drive in the gap. She's trying to find her left foot. Well done by Jurado to close down. Jurado continues her pressure and shutting down the space, and Maddie Castro's second shot earns Minnesota their first corner kick of the game.
26 career assists for Molly Fiedler, ranks her 3rd all-time at Minnesota. Headed out of there, as it's Bakken who takes the corner kicks. It's going to roll out of bounds. Rolls out of bounds. Penn State winning the national championship in 2015. Erica Dombach winning that title, actually knocking off Rutgers in the semifinals. Moving on to the national championship game. Rio actually scored her first career goal against Rutgers in that semifinal game and was named to the NCAA tournament team as a freshman. She came in ready. Out of bounds off Minnesota, be a throw in for Penn State. Ogle over the top, looking for dubs. Once again, Carrie Abello, who's got 7 goals, 5 assists, third team all Big Ten, and scored actually both goals during the regular season against this Minnesota team. She is listed as doubtful and not expected to play. Did not play on Friday and not expected to play today. She did play in that first game against Michigan where she got injured. Bakken is in. Bakken, and the flag is up far side though. Come back to Penn State.
And you get to see the quick explosiveness in Bakken. She is deceptively fast. You see her starting to move, you see the strides, but then she's covering more ground than anybody else. She makes it look so effortless. Now, if you're Penn State, you're going to have to watch that speed the entire time. Make sure that you don't step too far forward in advance in the attack and keeping the team compact and drop every single time you think there might be long service.
Bakken's effort on Friday, her 4th multi-goal effort of the season. Williams. Good ball over. This is trouble. Hard tackle coming in, though. Last minute saving the day is Emily Peterson, who has come all the way back from ACL surgery just back in March. Less than 6 months she's been back there to stabilize the team.
And it's Charlotte Williams here winning the foot battle against Minnesota. A nice slotted ball to the back pressure, back post, and looking for Talia Ferry, but Peterson diving safe, reading it at the right moment. When you go to ground as a defender, it is so key to time that perfectly, not only when you do it, but the angle at which you approach, because you want to make sure the referee does not think that you possibly got part of the player and award a penalty kick. That was a game-saving, potentially game-saving tackle.
Peterson tore her ACL, Kate, on March 13, had surgery March 26, and immediately said, you know, I'm not going to play professional soccer after this, so I'm going to do everything I can. And I don't know if you've seen too many stories like this. Back out on the field, at least training in 4.5 months, and actually playing in games after 6 months. And that's Peterson right there, ready to go, no brace. She got used to kind of how it felt in 5 months, and with each game it's felt better, and she said she feels really good now. It's just amazing.
5.5 months is crazy.
Castro will push it out wide, but too far. Oh, it stays in as it hits the corner flag. Winding Stad coming forward from that right back position. Fiedler. Fiedler's got only one speed, and it's full goal for number 6. Peterson playing in just her 13th game of the season, missed the almost first month, but she really has stabilized that spine for Minnesota.
What's impressive is how she organizes everybody else. Right now, I think where you see Minnesota maybe get exploited is sometimes that the center back pairing. They're a little bit off with their spacing. They're a little bit over to one side. And they did not get punished in the semifinals, especially that one time off of a free kick in which they were unorganized. But she is that one that is responsible for those last-ditch tackles, laying everything on the line.
Great ball in, Bakken from Fiedler. Good job by Jean to come back and win it. And now we've got another whistle.
And Bakken used her arms on that one, and the referee did not like it, giving the advantage back to Penn State. Now, if the Gophers can connect their passes in the final third, they'll be able to hold possession a little bit longer. They're advancing the ball. They're able to build in the midfield. It's just that midfield to forward pass that they're missing at the moment.
You see part of the story there of Peterson playing the full 90 in the last 4 games. She had tapered minutes to start, worked her way back in, and she's not going anywhere now, Kate.
Well, you see the light at the end of the tunnel. You know your season's almost over with. You played a different level of motivation that is noticeable. That's why whenever there's a senior-laden team, they usually make a push during conference play because they know this is it. You don't hold on to anything else. You don't wait for next year. You make the best of the situation. You go full throttle.
Nielsen comes out. Molly Fiedler playing with the Minnesota Thunder Academy since a freshman year in high school with Heslin and Peterson, and then their senior April Bakken and Maddie Castro join. That's the core of that incredible senior class for Minnesota. Penn State had it for a moment. One back by the youngster Ward. Windingstad trying to get it back to Ward. Fiedler's also there, cleared out of there by Ortega Jurado. Nina Kuhn, sophomore from Colorado Springs, converted from a midfielder forward spot to a center back and settled into that role. Right down the middle, Moyer trying to find Taliaferri with Williams lurking. And there's Ogle. Just a quick little touch to Dubs, the freshman from Switzerland. Kept alive by Taliaferri. Now Williams. Tell you, quick whistles so far with minimal contact.
And this is Heslin with a little bit of pressure, and it's the fact that she nicks her foot right there. But to me, she's going for the ball because just a second prior, it was on Williams' right foot. But with the win, it'll be interesting to see if Ogle takes this and tries to get this on net.
Ogle, top of the 18 instead. Dubs. Nielsen has it.
The shot from the net arrives by number 24, Kim Dubs. Save number 1, Maddie Nielsen.
Rio, too strong again with the wind behind Penn State at the moment. If you're Minnesota, you want to do all you can to keep it at zeros or try to sneak one in going against the wind, because you got to believe the wind's only going to pick up throughout the day. Ortega Jurado, you saw her push up more to midfield as the game went on Friday against Janet Rayfield and Illinois, who I think improved their credentials and chances of making the NCAA tournament. You got to feel like 5 is a lock for the Big Ten to get in. 6 is not unreasonable, and really there's 8 or 9 teams that have good enough credentials, if not for so many other teams and the parity in the game stepping up. A lot of great programs out there. Over the top, Bakken doesn't need a whole lot of room. Push it out wide to Ward. And Ward will earn a corner kick. Corner kick, Minnesota.
Much better by Minnesota in the midfield, finding Bakken up top with a little bit of a dipping ball. And Bakken's able to watch the trajectory of the ball and adjust her movements quicker than Real or Jurado in the back, allowing her to get onto it. Realizes she doesn't have any space, and she finds Ward. They do the best when their outside forwards are pushing high up on Ellie Jean and the outside backs of Penn State.
April Bakken with the second corner for Minnesota, driven in. Trying to find the near post. Penn State had players on both posts ready to go. Fiedler wins it back.
The shot for the Golden Gophers by number 5,
Fendi,
TJ McKendry.
Windingstad, and this was part of Stephanie Golan's keys, ball movement, try to get in that back, past that back line of Penn State. Fiedler staying with it. Fiedler back across. That was Maddie Castro actually making that great effort, and it was Fiedler right in front of the goal. So Maddie Castro, the senior from Cottage Grove, Minnesota, doesn't score a lot of goals, but she is part of that senior class that played together at the Minnesota Thunder.
And this is a different Minnesota side that we saw from the semifinals. In the semifinals, they scored in the first 3 minutes of the game, and after that, they sat back a little bit. And to be honest, Nebraska took it to them for the remainder of that half. We haven't seen a proactive Minnesota side so far this past weekend, and now we're seeing what they're able to do when they get enough numbers high enough, have enough passing options to spread out this defense of the Nittany Lions. When they're able to hold it, they're able to create some opportunities.
They do believe in these two teams in the last 5 matchups. It's been tight, a split, 2-2-1. We've seen some epic regular season battles between these two teams right here on the Big Ten Network. Some of the best games in the Big Ten Network logged between these two teams. That'll roll out of bounds, in the Minnesota bench happy with what they're seeing. Talked about that earlier. Carrie Abello, who was not expected to play today. Those were some pretty sweet goals, by the way, that she scored that one.
Oh, they were beautiful goals coming from well-executed game plans. Penn State excels when it comes from one side of the field to the other, changing that point. Get back to that in a second.
Ortega Jurado, she's made a long run. She's still with it and just missing to the outside. I thought that was going to go in. What a run. No golden gopher closing her down.
Ortega Jurado has played many positions for the Nittany Lions, mostly in midfield, and this year she's back in the center back, so comfortable with the ball. She sees space in front of her, doesn't see any passing options, but look, her head is up the entire time as she's assessing the right thing to do, able to commit and then separate from defenses, but unable to put that on frame.
You know, I think her reaction, as you see second team all Big Ten, was justified. Her reaction was basically saying, wait, you guys got to join in with me. I'm making this run. and actually, because Shar Williams stopped her run, you need somebody to go with her, create a lane.
It's extremely hard, though, when someone takes off on a dribble, though, to know if they're going to pass it or not. And as players started to converge on her, that's when Charlotte Williams needs to keep her run wide to keep her player from converging and applying even more pressure on Jurado Ortega.
Yeah, unfortunately, Williams just stopped and was enjoying what she was seeing there. And I was, too. I thought
getting some
OJ
popcorn,
was going to score.
Grabbing a soda.
Ogle. See Ward flipping sides already with Bakken. And now Rio going to make her run. The other center back trying to drop it into Taliaferri. Williams, top of the 18. So the two center backs taking turns, making runs. First OJ and now Rio. Jean.
Well, with both teams essentially lining up in the same formation, that means the midfield, the three in the midfield, are man marking each other out of being able to contribute to building the attack, which is creating these seams and these holes for the players that aren't marked, the two center backs, to come and make an impact.
There's the Big Ten Defender of the Year. As we told you, scored her first career goal in the semis of the 2015 College Cup against Rutgers. Rutgers, they're in. Mike O'Neill's been in every year since taking over at Rutgers. That's how good a job he's done for the Scarlet Knights. I feel like the top 4 seeds in the tournament, Wisconsin, Paula Wilkins. She's got some big-time players led by the Canadian Victoria Pickett. Here's Shar Williams. Ohio State Buckeyes putting it together late. Fiedler. Fiedler's got Castro to the right of her. Bakken way far right, Ward on the left, and it's Ogle who came back in support of Ortega Jurado to win it.
That's a fun matchup to watch all game long. Ogle and Fiedler. Fiedler has had, I'd say, the better of the two, better of her opponent, but that one, Ogle wins.
All right, both center backs have made a 50-yard run. Now the left back's going to do it. Jean, with a touch, trying to play it to herself, gets back up, and that extra effort, no, they're going to say it already rolled out of bounds, but how about that? Both center backs and the left back have been the three most dangerous so far for Penn State.
Now, the key is, can they do anything when they get into the box? They are defenders that maybe aren't as practiced on what to do once you've committed so many numbers and defenders to you to find the option or to release it. Here, she just doesn't have that touch to get her inside to bypass Kuhn or Peterson. That last-ditch defending right there coming into play. I would say maybe the referee got that one wrong.
Yeah, I think so. It's going to go out of bounds and stay with Penn State.
But if I'm Minnesota and I have someone on with the ball on their foot running at me, I'm going to hope it's a center back. And I'm going to hope it's an outside back. If you're going to give up something and that's the option that's available, you're going to give it to them because they're not usually as practiced as putting that in the back of the net. Maybe that's different for Ortega Jurado, who used to play midfield, a little bit more comfortable in and around the box, but that's a different level of decision making.
Excellent point. Championship Sunday on the Big Ten Network. Field hockey coming up next, and the quarterfinals of the Big Ten men's soccer tournament. Tim Lenahan's Northwestern Wildcats, the Indiana Hoosiers. We've got back-to-back exciting games, including crowning two champions early doors here today on BTN. Alina Ortega Jurado will bomb it in, top of the 18. Nikki Albrecht starting again. She was very much under the weather going into Friday's game, not feeling well at all, but started the game and started the second half for Stephanie Golan's team. Bakken. Right back to Fiedler. Windingstad. Just hit that one. It'll come back to Penn State. The lone previous Big Ten tournament championship match between these two teams was played in Iowa City, Iowa. Number 1 seed Penn State posting a 2-1 victory over number 2 Minnesota back in 2008. Kate, we were there actually at the time, and it was snowing, it was freezing, we were outside, and it was quite the weekend. You remember those as a player as well, I'm sure.
And your jaw's frozen and you can't talk because it freezes every time you open your mouth. Those are good times. Those are good memories.
Oh, yeah. Throw in, taken away here, Heslin. Heslin's got Castro. Castro. Good touch by Castro into the 18 and ripped back away, coming over in support for the Penn State Nittany Lions was Shea Moyer, number 18. She does it all in the middle. Probably doesn't get enough credit for the work she does. You know, Ogle gets a lot of the attention. Rio gets a lot of the attention. Tagliaferri. But Moyer is one of those key players, the sophomore, part of the Penn Fusion Club program. Dubs. It's Dubs getting the start with the injury to Abello. Tagliaferri looking to switch it to Williams. Bakken not able to keep it in ground. There are 20 minutes remaining. Another fairly quick whistle here from the referee.
And interesting because he keeps calling it when they have advantage. That's usually the referee will let it go. The player that's been fouled continues to have the ball, is beat the pressure and moving forward. Because then it doesn't allow teams to sit back and get reorganized with the extra time that when you do call a foul allows. Now that's warranted.
That's a foul.
On winning stat.
Jean, side of her foot, Taliaferri. Jean with the right foot. Good ball, far post. Ogle over her head as the wind looked like it got involved. It'll roll out of bounds, though, and come back to Minnesota.
Substitution for Penn State, number 8, Kristen Schnurr, replacing number 24, Kim Doves.
Now, when you hear us talk about Stephanie Golan taking the stairs, she talks about their approach, and their staircase goes like this. Well, right now it's going late as they started the season 3-0, and they're going to try to climb up. Kate Markgraf, break it down.
Well, they started to make huge strides in how they were performing because Peterson came back in the lineup as well as Bakken started scoring goals, 7 in the past 11 contests. And because of that, they're here now. And this is a team on the wrong side of the bubble, and they need a win today to not only guarantee their place in it, but it'll make a statement to the NCAA committee when they do seedings. And this is a challenge, an uphill battle that they hope that this mantra and this belief that they always need to handle the hard things and come up with strategies will pay dividends now when it matters most. And every team has that.
Yeah, Penn State's got the 3 pillars, and Minnesota has the take the stairs approach. And it's been contagious over the years of covering Stephanie Golan. Had a lot of fun with it with her at the Big Ten Network, and she enjoys that. We're all buying into it. And it's about that mentality mainly when you're at a hotel and you only got to go to the 2nd or 3rd floor. You know, why not just take the stairs? And it's about selflessness, making sure you have the right mentality, preparation, elevate so you're ready for every opportunity that presents itself.
And she feels her senior class embodies this with, especially with Molly Fiedler, always doing the right thing, always the first one at practice. And that is contagious, and this class has bought into it. It creates that, it institutionalizes that belief so that when the freshmen come in, they already know how to do this because they watch their elders, they're mentored by them, and then it keeps perpetuating that culture. And for Penn State, their pillars involve 3 things: attitude of a champion, blue collar, which is something they're focusing on this year a little bit more, and being more connected and united family. That this is the core group in which we're going to win stuff through. One of the smallest rosters they've ever had. They know they need to rely on each other in order to go the distance.
Albrecht. Yeah, I appreciated your comments before the game. Like, just something to unite your team around, right? And it works at all levels. It works with the little kiddies right on up to the highest professional team.
Just makes it simple.
Shar Williams. And Taliaferri in front of her. She'll drop it back. Good ball. Give and go. Williams to make it 1-0, but right to Nielsen. Williams was in. It was Schnurr holding it up, dropping it back to Williams, but she hit it right to Nielsen.
The shot for the Nittany Lions by number 12, Charlotte Williams.
Well, Schnurr's insertion into the lineup, she excels with building with others. Taliaferri then laying it off to Williams. Williams, perhaps next time, take that on that first touch. You saw this in the semifinals as well. She likes to take maybe that one extra touch every single time. And with so many numbers in the center of the park, condensed in the opponent's own box is when you need to play a bit quicker.
3 shots to none for Minnesota. Penn State with the win behind them. Nielsen will punch it. She's down on the ground. And before Ogle can get to it, first clearance, looking to sneak it far post, not on frame. And now, if you're Minnesota, you got an eye on the clock with the win behind the opposition. You want to try to survive these 14 minutes and change.
Well, especially because Penn State is a second half team. They make excellent halftime adjustments. They score 24 of their goals compared to 12 they score in the first half. So they're dominant offensively, and defensively they've only allowed 10 goals in the second half.
Yeah, and they'll deal with that wind right there, almost 20 miles per hour here at Westfield, Indiana. Grand Park just outside of Indianapolis. The Big Ten Women's Soccer Championship game on BTN. Number 1 Penn State and the 7th seed Minnesota Golden Gophers going on the road to beat Rutgers with a late goal and then taking care of business. It's been all April Bakken in the Big Ten tournament. A 2-0 win over John Walker's Nebraska Cornhuskers team on Friday. Jean staying with it. Good extra effort. Schnurr was hoping to drop it to Ogle. Ogle's going to get it back anyway. Ogle cuts it back. Getting through Heslin. Moyer, now Jean. Got a big target in there now with Schnurr. That bounce back off of Jean, it did. Jean had her first assist of the season in the first game of the Big Ten tournament as she found Sheba to knock off Michigan, also in the final minutes of regulation. Good time to get assist number 1 on the season for number 14. This time the spin was read by the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Ogle did it a second ago. This time picked off there by the Gophers. Rio, best defenders in the country. Moyer's got Schnurr on the left, Williams on the right. Taliaferri making a run, but then held up as Minnesota did a good job stepping up together.
There's so many numbers in the center of the park. The wide inside channels and the wide channels are where there's going to be opportunities to create and set play. It's going to be critical for the front runners, and the players are in the highest point on the back line of Minnesota, for them to stay high and then wait for that moment that it gets wide and then read when to come over and help.
Substitution for Minnesota, number 2.
They're so used to having their midfield dictate everything for Penn State. Now they need to rely on their outside backs, as well as when their midfielders are able to get out of that congested central part and then set play from there.
Mackenzie Langdock, sophomore from St. Michael, Minnesota, wearing number 2, has come on for Stephanie Golan. Coach Golan, in lieu of Albrecht's injury, was even talking about changing formations. She's going to stick with 4 in the back against this talented Penn State team.
And she's moving much better today, though. She was hurting in that semifinal game. Could only go about 15 minutes before she never really started strong either, and she quickly dropped off.
Yeah, yesterday was all really about her just getting as much rest and hydration and nutrition. It was a big day yesterday for Albrecht. In fact, that was the first thing Stephanie Golan talked about as she was getting ready for this game. Basically, Albrecht kind of got a free pass, right, just to rest and get her body ready. Peterson, so smart. Knock it off of Penn State. It'll be a goal kick.
Substitution for the Golden Gophers, number 15. McKenna Beisman.
McKenna Beisman, a freshman,
April Bakken.
also from Minnesota, going to come on. April Bakken will get a rest here. I was surprised by that. Might also be part of managing the final 10 minutes here, though, and maybe more of a defensive shape with
Exactly,
the wind.
Dean. You figure you don't need me here. And also, I think sometimes you pull a player out just to protect their confidence. So they have a couple extra minutes to reflect, to watch. You can explain it like, hey, we need a little bit more defensive presence. We're going to give you some rested legs, so you have even more energy to take on the backs in the second half, because that's when we're going to need you.
Stephanie Golan and her new staff pushing all the right buttons and hoping to survive these final 10 minutes of the first half with the wind going right at Maddie Nielsen and the Golden Gophers. Winding Stad. Fiedler. It's your attacking midfielder who is all over the field. I asked her about it yesterday. Said she's played like that since the day she had a soccer ball. Just full speed. Rio comes back to help out OJ. Here is OJ, Alina Ortega-Jurado, the German, and another whistle. had more time, but will knock it out of bounds, and more subs coming in. Penn State going to go to their bench as well. Laura Suero, a junior from Pennsylvania, part of the FC Bucks Freedom Program.
Laura Suero, replacing number 18, Shane Boyer.
Ogle spinning. Ogle's got Jean. Nobody home for Jean. Pressure there from Ogle. Now, Ortega Jurado. Williams. No whistle that time on cue. Williams looking for options. Gives it to Jean. Nielsen screaming away, so problem is it's right into the wind. So now Ogle. Top of the 18. Ortega Jurado pushed off the ball. That was the sub, Langdock. Minnesota has a lot of white jerseys in and around the 18 right now.
Definitely a bunker mentality with Penn State able to hold on the ball and slowly build it. It's driving lots of Minnesota numbers back, but this is when Penn State can be exploited on the counter if they're able to clear this pressure.
Golden Gophers now, Megan Gray into the game for Stephanie Golan with, like Ward, a nice freshman coming in this year for Coach Golan. Gray and Ward scored goals early on and have not scored a ton since. Three times a number 7 seed has won the championship game. Minnesota trying to make it 4 times. The last one came in 2005 when Wisconsin, the number 7 seed, actually beat a number 8 seed Michigan. So there against Shiva. Shiva, the hero against Michigan. See that backing up what I just talked about. Wisconsin doing it back in 2005. Langdock had it for a moment. Elliston Knopf, the 5 Penn State Nittany Lions that were part of that U20 team a couple years ago, where they all took redshirt years. Ogle, Rio, Knopf, Jean, Chandler Rose, who has moved on, former goalkeeper. Rose Chandler, said Chandler Rose, I reversed that. Rose Chandler was available to play this year, but decided to go pro like Laura Freigang did. Or they'd have those 2 players out there as well. And Laura Freigang was star among stars last year as Penn State won the tournament title.
Just the quality players are able to get in. And that's a good thing for everybody in the Big Ten because it raises the profile when one of your teams does so well in the conference. And the higher profile that your conference has in terms of the overall rankings, besides, I think they call it the Big Five or what have you, the more teams are likely to be selected for postseason play. It used to be the ACC. Now I believe they're 3rd. And it's the SEC and the Big 12, which I think are 1 and 2.
No score here, under 5 minutes remaining. Weiningstad. Gray. She's going to knock it out of bounds, and this will work just fine with Minnesota. As now just 4 minutes remaining, and they'll come out for the second half and have the wind.
Hello.
I think someone wants my job.
Knocked out of bounds. It'll be a throw in back for Jean. Grand Park, Westfield, Indiana. Amazing complex for soccer, softball, and baseball, but just tons of fields out here, one after another. Another whistle. Referee's been pretty consistent about even any hand-to-hand combat as Molly Fiedler is whistled. Three minutes and change. Each team that has scored first has advanced. Remember, only 8 teams get into the Big Ten tournament. Ortega Jurado. Stepping it up is real. Frankie Taliaferri, first team all Big Ten. Good ball far side, trying to find Shiva, but it'll roll out of bounds. When you serve those balls, you also have to manage the wind a little bit and perhaps take a little bit off.
And also, if you're the recipient or the intended recipient, hold your run a bit and go a little bit wider, because you know that ball is going to carry there. I think it was more Albrecht doing enough to distract Shiva. Not quite sure where that ball was going to fall. It was enough to disrupt her run.
Fiedler. I think every coach on any team, no matter what the sport, would take a Molly Fiedler type player. Right? That mentality gives everything.
Well, you love the attitude, but I love her first touch. She's always able to see where the pressure is.
That was Fiedler who gave it up right there. Going the other way is Numador, Selena Numador. She's bumped off the ball. The referee this time says, nope, that's not a foul. Albrecht. To Windingstead. Pressure there from Taliaferri. Penn State.
1 minute remaining.
With that effort. 1 minute remaining.
1 minute.
Langdock. Real. Eliminating players like she has done her entire career. Nielsen way out off her line. It'll fall. Ortega Jurado's gonna try to chip Nielsen, who did get herself back in position.
We talked about Nielsen's decision-making, and it's going to be critical. In that moment, she had enough time because Penn State did not continue their pressure. She could have let the ball roll into the box and collect it. This time she decides to clear it, misclears it, goes straight to Shiva. And then Ortega Jurado, who had the right idea, just didn't have the technique to punish Nielsen's error.
Bouncing around, 10 seconds remaining, and with that clearance, this will be our first scoreless first half in the Big Ten Tournament Championship game since 2014, as Minnesota surviving the #1 seed, regular season champs, and surviving the win at zeros.
And Minnesota's game plan to shut down that midfield is working. Everything going wide and asking the back line of the Nittany Lions to help set play. Now the wind will be a factor. It was a factor in the first half going against Minnesota. It'll be interesting to see how Minnesota is able to take advantage of the environment.
Amanda Dennis, part of 378-minute active shutout streak. No goals allowed in the Big Ten tournament for 0-0. She was not tested at all, but she'll also have to deal with the wind in the second half. At halftime, we'll take a look at the highlights, see who won all the Big Ten hardware as part of our season awards. Minnesota and Penn State going for the Big Ten Women's Soccer Championship, but nobody has scored through 45. Stay with us.